Awesome. Hello, everybody. I'm going to hit continue and allow you to record me. Hi, y'all. How you doing? Give me a thumbs up. Yay, 2021. Woohoo! Let's start this off fantastic. I am thrilled to be doing another Michael's Community Classroom. I love doing the knitting and crochet courses over here for Yarnspirations. It's a lot of fun, especially to see all of your smiley faces coming back at me. And yeah, it's just exciting. So as Allie mentioned, this video is getting recorded. So if at some point in time, maybe you fall behind or something gets a little lost, or maybe you just want to sit back, relax and watch me crochet or whatever it may be, you can always go back and watch this video after today's lesson is live. If you have questions throughout the video, post them in the chat. In my Zoom, you can see at the bottom of my screen. So on your screen, you should be able to see at the bottom where it looks like a chat bubble and it says chat. Like that's, if you don't know where it is, that's where you can click it. Post questions in there. Allie's going to try and moderate the questions. If she knows the answer, she'll help you out. If she needs to get my attention, and just kind of say, hey, Marley, we have a question, she will do that. So that is a great place to ask the questions. This is a somewhat beginner class, so I will be going relatively slow through the stitches. Luckily, the stitch pattern tonight is only a 2-row repeat, so it is pretty easy once we get going with it. The first couple rows are a little bit tricky, just like any crochet pattern, but we are going to do just fine. So I do have a rule, and the rule is all of you are going to be very kind to yourselves, okay? We are learning something new, and sometimes our hands just don't want to listen to our brains, and we might be telling our hands, wrap the yarn, and we just struggle, and we know we're supposed to do it. For whatever reasons, our hands don't want to do it just then. We're going to be patient with ourselves. If our stitches don't look that good, we're going to be patient with ourselves. It's going to be fine because it's just a hook and string, you guys. It's just a hook and string. We're going to be just fine. All right. Okay. So tonight we are going to be making the Karen Crochet Marled Slanted Shell Super Scarf. Say that 5 times fast, right? And if you don't have the pattern, this is what it looks like. It's a relatively simple stitch pattern. It has some open lace work sort of stuff. Don't let that word scare you. It just means it has some open stitches, but it's still incredibly warm. Here's a fun fact. You'll hear people who tell you, hey, I want you to make me a blanket, but I don't want it to have holes because I want to stay warm. Actually, if you have holes in your blanket, it helps you stay warm. It helps insulate everything. It traps the heat in some way. So that's a little fun fact for you right there. This particular pattern uses 2 balls of the Karen marble cakes. Now I don't even have a wrapper on mine, but this is one of the marled cakes right here. You can see it looks like it's 2 colors sort of twisted together, but then one of the colors transitions to a different color throughout. It has this like long color change. So as you're using the 2 balls of color, what's important here is you're going to use each ball at the same time, because we're going to have 2 strands of yarn going at the same time. But you want to make sure you're starting at one color point on one ball and a different color point at a different ball. So that way the colors are not like, it's not like 2 purples side by side. It's like the purple and a blue. Okay. So that's the trick here. Having said that, if you wanted to do this with 2 just regular old solid colors, you could do that as well. Totally up to you. The pattern calls for a size K or a 6.5 millimeter crochet hook. So I'll be using that today. And gauge isn't like super important with this, so I'm not gonna worry too much about doing a gauge swatch. I'm just gonna go straight in with the hook that's recommended. Let's see if there's anything else here we got to mention. The last thing, you'll notice that this pattern has tassels. So it has those nice big tassels down there at the bottom. And so it talks about using cardboard. This is, I don't know how many of you are getting Amazon boxes literally every day on your front step, but it's happening at my house. It's like, I know the Amazon guy by name. Like seriously, it's no joke. I should have made him a Christmas gift. So I just took the lid of, or like the flap of one of my Amazon boxes, just cut it off. And I'm using that for my tassels. Okay. So those are like really the materials you'll need besides a tapestry needle to weave in your ends, but that's basically it. Let's see here. I mentioned that the scarf is made with 2 strands. You start at 2 different points. I'm going to give you the very first big tip. You guys ready? Everybody ready? Look at me, look at me, look at me. All right. I see you. All right, Brenda, I see you. Okay. When you're going to make something with tassels, something that I have learned the hard way because I have run out of yarn by the time it's time to make the tassels. When you're going to make something with tassels, I always recommend make your tassels first. If you get your tassels completed first, then you have all the yarn left over to do whatever you want with it. So then if you're making a scarf like this, you can use the entire rest of the balls of yarn for the body of your scarf, knowing that your tassels are complete. Does that make sense? Now, having said that, I'm not going to start off with my tassels in class, but I want to mention this to you for later on. If you are going to make this like full thing, I highly recommend taking a minute, get your tassels made if you're adding tassels, so that way it's ready to go. But I have the cardboard here, so if we have time tonight, I'll show you how I do tassels if you've never done it before, so that way we can walk through it. All right. Okay, I think that is everything. So, Hemina, I think we're ready to go to my hands. Oh my gosh, she is on top of it, y'all. On top of it tonight. I want to make sure I hit continue. All right, so once again, this is the pattern. Allie, you put the pattern in there, right?
Yes, I
All
will
right.
drop it in there again just as a backup as well.
Perfect. Okay. So this is the pattern. Pretty easy, basic pattern. We're going to be using some double crochets, some chains, and some single crochets, respectively. Pretty basic stitches. We're going to work in rows. So we'll start off with some chain stitches and then we'll begin reading the pattern. Now I do want to point this out because maybe you're somebody who is very visual and you really have a hard time reading patterns. I just want to kind of give you a brief overview of this. When you're reading a Yarnspirations pattern, whenever you see a series of instructions within parentheses, that lets you know that you're going to do everything that is written within those parentheses into the stitch or the space written outside of the parentheses. So for example, this one, we would do 1 single crochet, chain 3, 4 double crochet, all of that into the second chain from hook. Make sense? Okay. Same thing down here. If we were to say, let's see here, skip 4 double crochet, 1 single crochet in the top of the next chain 3, chain 5, and then this says 5 times. So this one here, we're going to do all of that in the second chain from hook, but this one here, you have all of these instructions inside the parentheses, and it's telling you you're going to do all of this 5 times. I know it seems confusing. In other patterns, typically you'll see that one of these is parentheses and something like this would actually be brackets. But I want to point it out to you so that way, if you're attempting to read a pattern, you can kind of tuck that in your back pocket and know that that's there. All right. But we're going to work through this together so you don't really have to read the pattern so much. Okay, so I didn't have 2 balls of yarn, so I kind of pulled off 2 different sections of yarn, and I have 2 different points of the color. So I am pulling from 1 ball of yarn each. So I have 2 strands happening here. And you could pull from the center or the outside or whatever works for you. It doesn't really matter either way. And I have them both kind of started off at the same point. Okay, can you guys see that they're definitely 2 separate colors going on here? Okay. All right, so we're going to start off with a slip knot. Now you can make a slip knot however you want. I'm going to show you how I like to make mine. I put the tail of the yarn in the palm of my hand, take my working yarn, and I wrap it around my forefinger and middle finger going over the top. I go back down to the bottom under my middle finger and come back up to the top of my forefinger. Then I cross over towards the palm of my hand. So I am essentially creating a crossover, right? I rotate my hand so that I'm looking at the top of my hand, the top of my fingers. I go underneath the strands that are closest to my fingertip, and I grab the strands that are back by my knuckle and I pull them underneath. Then I pull those off my finger completely and I get a slip knot. I'm going to do that one more time for those of you who don't know how to do this. Tail in the palm of my hand, working yarn, wrap it around my forefinger and my middle finger. And when I come back up, I cross over. Rotate my hand, go underneath the front loop, grab the back loop, pull it off. Creates a slip knot. I'm going to put that slip knot directly onto my hook. Now everybody repeat after me. The loop on your hook does not count as a stitch, okay? Now and forever and ever and ever, I don't even know of one stitch where that counts as an actual stitch, okay? So this will never be counted as one. So at this point, we need to chain 32. So I am right-handed. So I find some way to hold tension with the working yarn in my left hand, and I hold the hook in my right hand. So I tension the yarn, and essentially I keep the hook and the yarn, would this be called parallel to each other? They're like both vertical. And then if you were to take your hook and going over top of the yarn around towards the left and go back underneath it so that you're kind of grabbing that yarn with your hook. And then we're going to pull that yarn through the loop that's on our hook. So I take it and I pull it through just like so. I don't tighten it. I don't do anything else, but looky there, I have one chain. We're going to do that again. I'm essentially parallel. I take my hook, go over top of the yarn towards the left, go underneath that yarn and grab it, and then pull it through the loop on my hook. There's two. I'm going to continue doing this. Once I get about 3 or 4 chains, I tend to take my left hand. You see how these look like V's? They look like a really nice set of V's, the chains do. I like to have those V's always facing up towards me. So I take the pad of my thumb on my left hand and I rest it onto top of those V's. So after I get about 3 or 4 chains, I usually will move the pad of my thumb up closer to my hook and just keep those stable. And then I continue making chains. So I would do some more chains and then move the pad of my thumb up. And we want to get 32 chains here. Now I'm going to have to go back and count because I'm talking. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Do I count the loop on my hook? No, the crowd goes, no, good, Jenny. Now I've already count. What did I say, 11? Yeah, that's the way it goes. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, 12, 13, 14. I'll count to myself so that way I don't disrupt you guys. 31, 32. Now I'm going to go back and count just to make sure. So what I like to do is I'll usually extend that one just so I don't lose it. And if I've kept the pad of my thumb on my V's, you can see I have this really nice line of chains and they aren't twisted at all. So I can come down here and counting essentially the top of the chain, which is the V, because if I turn this over, you see that little bump there? I call that the butt of the stitch. Okay, so you could count the butt of your stitch if you want. I like to count the V's. I'm not really interested. I really just almost said I'm not interested in the butt, but I'm not. I'm interested in the V's of the stitch. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. And I don't count this loop because it's on my hook. All right, so I have my 32 chains. Everybody with me so far? Yep, perfect.
I think so. I will
Awesome.
say, and you might be getting to this, but there has been 2 questions here about the stitch repeat. Janet wants to make hers more narrow, and Purple and D would like to make it wider.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to actually get started a little bit with it because I'm not
Perfect.
familiar with this stitch pattern and it doesn't have a chart with it. So I'm not gonna give a number yet, but once we get started, I'll be able to figure it out. How about that?
Wonderful.
All right, cool. Awesome. So we have 32 chains, and this is where we're going to get started with the first row. So we have a single crochet, a chain 3, and 4 doubles, all in the second chain from hook. So never count that. So that's 1 chain from hook, 2 chains from hook. You can go into just that back sort of, that's actually like the back leg or the back loop of the stitch if you want. This is where some people will rotate their chains and they like to work through the butt of the chain. You can do that if you want. Here's what I like to do. You see how this is a V right here? I essentially take my hook and I pierce down the center of the V, where I'm essentially working underneath that back loop and the butt. Can you see that? So I've just left the front loop open. I don't know why I find that the most comfortable for me, but in all honesty, you guys, it doesn't matter. You do what works best for you, okay? Can you all see what I've done there? I'm essentially just put in my hook. I'm going to yarn over my hook and pull that yarn over through that chain that I went into. When I pull up that chain, I want to make sure that it is still the same diameter as my hook, right? And I'm just bringing it up level as I yarn over and I draw through the 2 loops on my hook. So I created 1 single crochet there. If you like to use stitch markers, I'm going to have you put a stitch marker right here in the single crochet. So if you have the loop on your hook, if you see the V right behind the loop on your hook, that's the top of the single crochet you just completed. So you can put a stitch marker in there, and that just lets you know that's the first stitch of your row, okay? I'm just gonna put my stitch marker right there. Now I have to do chain 3. So we're gonna do chains just like we did before. So I go around, there's 1, 2, and 3. Now I have 4 double crochet all into that same chain. So I'm gonna go into that same chain and do 4 doubles. So I start off with the yarn over my hook, go into that chain. It's tricky with all of the loops because we have 2 strands, you know. I shouldn't say loop, all the strands. Yarn over, pull up a loop. So we have 3 loops on our hook. I yarn over, I draw through 2. I yarn over, I draw through 2. So that's 1 double crochet complete. And I have to do 4 of those. So I yarn over my hook, go into that same space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. Yarn over my hook, go into the space, yarn over my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over my hook, draw through 2, yarn over my hook, draw through 2. Yarn over my hook, go into that same chain, yarn over my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over my hook, draw through 2, yarn over my hook, draw through 2. So all of that we've just did in 1 solitary chain. Now what that also means is the chains that are next to it kind of get sucked up and hidden. So sometimes when I'm working through chains like this, I'll just kind of shove over those stitches so that I can still see the chain next to it. So that way, as I'm counting, I don't miss it. Can y'all see that? Now here's another pro tip, y'all. You guys ready? Sometimes, even as designers, when we're doing something like a blanket where we're doing like say 300 chains, we will purposely chain an extra like 5 or 6 just in case we accidentally miss one of these. So if you're one of those people that accidentally misses a chain all the time, just chain a couple extra at the beginning. And if you come out perfectly at the end, even though you know you chained extra, nobody is ever going to know. All right. It's my little secret. So we'll just keep it there. All right, so now in the pattern, I want to show you this. You see where it has that star right there, that asterisk? That's important because that lets you know that it's at that point in the pattern we're going to come back to work our repeat. So this is going to be our repeat, everybody. So far we have 1 chain here, right? So we skipped 1 and then this would be our second. So that would be 1, 2. And then we worked all that, and then this would be our repeat. So this is going to be we have a star. We're going to skip the next 5 chains. So let's count 5. This is where you want to make sure you don't miss that one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we skip 5. And then in the next chain, we're going to do a single crochet, chain 3, 4 double crochet. So we're going to do all of this that we just did in that next one. So don't quote me on this yet, guys, but I feel like our multiple is a multiple of 6. Don't quote me on that. I think it's a multiple of 6 plus 2, but that's purely where I think we are right now. Okay.
I see Myrtle nodding.
Myrtle's nodding. That would be my assumption without doing the rest. My assumption is that we're a multiple of 6 plus 2. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me count this one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in the next one, so this would be the 6th one, we're going to do a single. All right, so I did my regular old single crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and now I'm going to do 4 doubles. So I yarn over my hook, go into that same chain, insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over my hook, draw through 2, yarn over my hook, draw through 2. Okay? Yarn over my hook, go into that chain, yarn over my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over my hook, draw through 2, yarn over my hook, draw through 2. Got 2 more of these to do. I'm going to do these silently because I feel like a lot of you are, oh,
Marley, we lost the video.
sorry. I even turned off the whole telephone thing, but apparently, give me a second. I don't know why it's doing this. What the heck? Give me a second. I got this. All right, I got to pick up my phone. Sorry. Hold on a second, guys. Just keep doing what you're doing. Okay. Is it diagonal or is it
It's
vertical?
portrait mode right now.
All right, so you're going to see my messy room. And come on, give it to me.
There we go.
All right, so I'm going to put this back.
Ooh,
Did
it
it
went
stay?
back.
Ah, this is so frustrating. I'm sorry, you guys. What the heck? Come on. It's like my screen goes black. Okay. And we're going to come down. Try and make it as big as possible. Okay. Okay. Sorry, guys.
I
It's
still
back
don't
now.
see you. Allie, do you?
I don't see the video on at the moment.
It says it's still, oh, now it's connecting to you again. Gosh darn it. Okay. I'm sorry, you guys.
That's okay.
It says it's connecting now. I don't understand. Anything now?
No, I think you're. No, nothing.
What in the world? It shows me I'm in the class.
You are.
Do you even see my thing there?
Let me find you.
In the game. Okay, here we go. So where was I? All right, so I have 3 double crochets. I'm going to do another one. So we're going to get through this entire row all the way to the end, right? So we would repeat from star. So I just finished my 4th double and I did that into the next chain. It says repeat from star to the end chain. So my assumption there would be it should take me all the way down here to the end. So we're going to keep going. So I shove those so I can make sure I count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go to my 6th one. Start with my single. I keep wanting to do a double. And then I'll chain 3. And then I will do 4 doubles. Thank you, everybody. I apologize. I did put my phone on airplane. I thought I did. I remember doing it, so I don't know what happened.
I think we're all still here.
Good. Good, good, good. Let's see. So shove those, make sure I get 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my 6. So for those of you that are newer crocheters, just so you know, working into the foundation chain like this is usually the most difficult part of crochet. And I don't care how long you've been crocheting, it's still the most tedious, most difficult part. So again, if you're struggling a little bit, don't feel like it's a race. Take your time. It will, the video will be here for you when you're ready to move on to the next step. Just keep on keeping on. You can do this. Okay. Move it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is number 6.
Marley, I will say we have a few people saying that they feel like they have a few stitches left and they've counted. So if we get to the end of the row and there is a mishap,
Just fudge it.
we will work through it together.
Yep. I was actually going to mention that. If you get close here to the end and say you're like, oh, you're 1 stitch short or 1 stitch too many or anything like that. I mean, I could be too. I mean, who knows? I usually will just fudge it, meaning if I'm supposed to skip 5, but I only have 4, then I just skip 4. It literally, guys, nobody will ever see that. So like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I came out perfect. Sorry, I should have messed up for you. But I mean, honestly, if this were even 4 and I had 1 extra, just skip it. Just go into that last one. Just make sure you're working into the last one and you will be just fine. Is that good? Everybody good with that? You have my permission. That's the beauty of crochet. You can really just, I mean, is there another word? That's the word I've always used, is fudging it. Like you just fudge it.
Fake it till you make it, baby.
Fake it till you make it.
LJ said sometimes with so many stitches going into a foundation chain, she'll single crochet all the way across the row for first. Shh.
Yep.
I love that idea.
Yep. And I know other people too who will start off with foundation single crochets as well. I mean, it all depends on the ultimate look you're going for, right? Yeah, you absolutely can do anything you want. But this is the piece. This is where we are. Everybody good? Yeah, I see it. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So at the end, it says turn, and then the second row starts with the chain 8, and it says it counts as a double crochet and a chain 5. So you can chain 8 and turn, or turn and chain 8. It doesn't really matter. I always get that question in classes. That's why I always point it out. It really doesn't matter. So I'm going to turn. I'm going to chain 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that counts as a double and a chain 5. I'm not going to add a marker yet because I think I work. All right, so hold on. 1 single crochet in the 3rd chain of the chain 8. So what we could do here, we have this chain 8. If you're using markers, you can take your marker and we would go into the 3rd chain. So you would count, you can either count down 5 or count up 3, either one. But take your marker and just pop it through that 3rd chain, because at the end of row 3, that's where you're actually going to work your last stitch. Okay, that's where it tells you to work your last stitch. So if you're looking to use markers and know where your last stitch is, that's where it is. Okay. All right, so we've done this, and now it tells us to skip the next 4 double crochets. So we are going to skip all these, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to do a single crochet in top of the next chain 3 and then chain 5. So here's convenience. We have all of these here and we have this big old space right here. So we're literally just going to put our hook in that big space of our chain 3 space and do a single crochet. And then we're going to chain 5. Right? Did I count that right? Yeah. 3, 4, 5. And it says to do that 5 times. So that's 1. So I'm not even going to count anything here, because why? Just come over here to this space, just making sure I'm not missing anything here. And we're going to, yeah, skip the next 4 and then single crochet. And then 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just interesting to me because we have this single crochet down here, right? So you have these chain 3s, you have this single crochet, but the instructions don't tell us to skip that single crochet. It just tells us to skip these doubles, which some people would be like, well, what about that single crochet? Well, it doesn't give us any instructions for it. It just tells us to skip all these to get over here to this. So we're going to assume that it wants us to skip that as well. Okay, y'all with me there? So I'm going to come over here and single, chain 5. To the big space, do a single, chain 5, and this is the 5th one, right? Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that was chain 5. So before I do the single there, let's see, single the top. No, it would be single here and then chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I accidentally counted my chain 8. That wasn't, so that was my chain 8 to start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 repeats. Then I skip all this and it tells me skip the next 4, 1 single crochet in the top of the last chain 3 right here and turn. So I didn't even have to mark this one here. So I can take it out and just get rid of it because we just used that chain space. All right. I always mark things just in case because you never know. So we use that chain space and now we're turning. So essentially we've set it up to build the next row, which is going to be a row of the single, chain 3, 4 doubles. And we're going to put those where the instructions tell us to do it. Okay. Are you guys ready? So I turn, make sure everybody's in the same place. We're on row 3. So we'll chain 1. I'm not going to mark it because it doesn't seem to matter. We're going to do a single crochet, chain 3, 4 double crochet in the first single. So all right here into this first stitch right here. And when I say the stitch, I'm not talking, so like if I look at the top of the stitch, I can see the V. I'm not talking about the back of the V. I'm not talking about the front of the V. I'm talking like right through. So it's like you have the front and the back of the V on your hook that you're working through. That's the space you're going to be working through. You're going to do a single crochet in that space, in that stitch. It's actually called a stitch. So we do a single, chain 3, just like we did before. And then we're going to do 4 doubles all into that stitch. So here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. And we'll skip everything. We go to the next single crochet and we do it all again. So we do a single, chain 3, and then 4 doubles all into that next single crochet. You guys just saw, make sure you don't accidentally leave one of the loops behind because it's very easy to accidentally do that. Go to the next single. I think I just chained 5 instead of 3. Get in a habit. So quiet.
I feel like I need to tell some fun facts.
I know. I was just thinking that. I'm like, what could I say? But at the same time, I know, like, I see everybody working. So I'm like, I'm just going to let them work. We're going to get to the end here. I'm going to come to the end. So in this last single, a single crochet in the last chain 3, do my 4 doubles, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm just going to count this to make sure. So that was my repeat 5 times, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And then it says to skip the next chain 5 and then 1 single crochet in the 3rd chain. So that's the one we marked. So I can go directly into that chain that's marked and place a single crochet there. take my marker out. You don't have to use a marker, guys. It's purely there for whatever works best for you. And then turn your work. And it's at this point we would go back to row 2 and repeat. So typically if I was doing a video, I'd be like, all right, you just repeat those last 2 rows, but we're already here. Let's go ahead and I'll show you like how you would just repeat into it because you're actually working into some stitches here. It's pretty easy stuff. So we turned and we go back to row 2 and we would chain 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you want to use a marker, you absolutely can. It would be in the 3rd one or count down 5. Remember, never count the loop on your hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then the one after that is your the third one. That didn't make much sense, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying there. Count 5 and the next one's your 3rd. That made no sense. All right, so we're gonna skip all of these stitches and come all the way over here to where this big space is, right? So we come all the way over here to this space and we're going to do a single crochet. And that will be on, when we get to row 3, that will be where we work that whole repeat again. Then we chain 5. Skip all of that over to this chain 3 space, single crochet. Again, that will be where we do that big repeat again. See how this works up, guys? See how easy this is? I mean, once you get past these first couple rows, it's like, oh, I just got to go to this big old space right there and get that single crochet there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go to the next one. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I finish with a single crochet.
I like a pattern like this where one row is very easy.
It's very easy.
And it makes you feel like it's like a reward for getting
Yeah.
done the hard row.
Yeah, this is like the relaxation row, and the next one is the big kind of chunk row, you know, so you turn your work, you chain 1, and we know exactly what to do. In the single crochet, we're going to work our repeat of a single, chain 3, and then 4 doubles. And like I said at the beginning, guys, if you work on your tassels first, you just can repeat this all the way until you literally run out of yarn. So this is a great way to use up all of that yarn so you don't have any extra stash hanging around. Like it just use it all up. And I mean, use any yarn you have, just put 2 colors together, 2 worsted weights, and you get a really cool look. Especially with this one, with the marled look, where one transitions to it, like the color changes on its own on both of the balls. And so you get a really different look throughout the pattern. It's just a fun way to use up these Karen cake yarns, which, can I just tell you, okay, so I went in to Michael's the other day and I saw the cake shop display, and I swear every time I'm there, you guys, I'm buying 3 balls of yarn. Who else can relate to this? It's like I'm seeing a new color, even though I've seen all the colors, but I'm like, oh, I know I don't have that one. And I end up buying 3 more balls of yarn because really I'm just like, well, you can't really make much with just one. I got to buy 3. And so I'm always buying extra yarn from there. I'm so glad that you guys are my people and I'm not the only one that does that, because that is totally what I do. So as you're working through this, you work through this entire pattern, and it doesn't tell you precisely if you should end after a row 2 or row 3. At least I don't see that in the pattern. I'm going to tell you that I would finish after a row 3. So after you do one of these rows, I wouldn't finish with just those chain rows. You know what I mean? I would not finish after a row 2. I would finish one of these rows. So that way it looks very similar to your beginning. And then you would just add your tassels. It's pretty simple stuff. I think so. What do you see out there, Allie?
Everyone really loves this pattern, honestly. I think it's really really loving how it shakes out. Dee Dee said she's doing 2 solid colors and it looks really nice with 2 contrasting solids.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
absolutely agree.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. You could even do latte cakes with this, like if you wanted to have a different look, like
There
a
was
fuzzy.
a couple people that did say they were stitching it with latte cakes. I think that's a
Nice.
great idea.
I love me some latte cakes, and they did come
Me
out with new
too.
colors and latte cakes, y'all. Hopefully I didn't run them out of your Michaels, because I feel like I've bought them all out. They're so pretty. They just call my name. I
LJ
love
said
them.
she went in for one circular needle and some markers, and she did not leave with
No,
just a circular
no, you
and some
can't.
markers.
You can't do that. You can't. My husband laughs at me when I tell him, I'm like, oh, I just got to run out to Michael's real quick just to grab something. He's like, uh-huh, I'll see you in an hour, you know, because Michael's is 5 minutes from me, right? He's like, I'll see you in an hour, because he knows I'm going shopping. I don't know what it is, man. The yarn just calls to me, you guys. I love
Abby
it.
said she'd like to try this with a thinner yarn and smaller hook.
Oh,
I think this is
yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah. Or conversely, don't combine two colors. Get one of the big cakes with like the big, or even the anniversary cake, and do one of these with I mean, you could make several of these with an anniversary cake. Like those are massive. But I mean, it's a very simple pattern. It's very Netflix and chill-esque, where you could just kind of get lost in the pattern. You really can feel your way along with this pattern quite a bit. Like you don't really have to look at it too much, because it's a lot of like, it's a single crochet and it's a big space. Like there's not a lot of really delicateness, or is that even a
Absolutely.
word, you know? Like you could absolutely feel your way with this as you're working on a project. And like I said, you don't have to use these markers. I mean, those of you who follow me on YouTube know I love markers. I feel like they're a great visual, especially for beginners. So I tend to use them quite a bit. But yeah, I mean, this is it. This is great. It looks really nice. It looks really good. Should we talk about Tassel? What do you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
Colin said she's using up her stash before
Yeah.
buying more yarn.
I don't blame you. I did that over Christmas. All right. So I just snipped this, guys, so that way I could just show you how to do the tassels. But honestly, I should have showed you that. When you're done with your row, if you just snip it, leave yourself a nice long tail so you can weave in your ends later. But oh goodness, come on, Marlena. When you are done, snip it, leave it a nice long tail, and essentially just do a chain. So yarn over and then pull that loop and then just pull it out, and it locks it in place. And then you can weave these in later on. When you're doing your tassels, you have a choice to make. You can make your tassels with the two strands held together like this and make tassels this way. You can make tassels just with one strand on one ball, one strand on another ball. Like it's up to you. I love the idea of holding the two together, not only because you get the fun different color, but also it's going to go way faster because I just enjoy doing it that way. So you're going to cut a piece of cardboard about 6 inches. This is not 6 inches, but it will work for what we're doing. I like to put little slits in my cardboard so that way it will hold the yarn. I don't know if you guys do that or not. I just like put a slit in my cardboard so it just holds my yarn tail there. And essentially we're going to wind around the cardboard. Now the pattern tells you to wind it exactly 60 times. I'm going to tell you, since we're doing these tassels first, wind them as big as you want them or as small as you want them, because we aren't going to worry too much about the yarn amount or whatever. But if you don't want wimpy tassels, definitely wind a good amount. Okay. So I'm just going to keep winding here. I don't know if y'all make it this way or not, but this is what I do. All right, so I'm gonna say just kind of like that. And even with my tassel, I leave a longer tail just so I can weave it in later, just kind of pop it down under. Then I still use 2. Sometimes I will keep the strands just like this, like I'm going to do today, but sometimes I will braid this part that I'm getting ready to show you. Because what we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to thread it underneath all this. This is what's going to hang from our scarf. So sometimes I'll take these and I'll either do like a double twist, like where you twist yarn and then you let it come up on itself so it looks like a big twist, or I'll braid it, or I'll do something decorative with it, or you can just keep it as strands, whatever. I do like to keep them somewhat longer so that way I can decide how much I want them to dangle or not dangle from a piece. And I also thread these onto a tapestry needle as I pull them through because I find it easier, but you don't have to do it this way. I'm essentially just going to tuck these underneath all those loops that I just wound. I've got big old fingers, so I just do that. And I pull it up. Can you all see this so far? I can't tell if I'm in frame. I think I am. Mm-hmm. So I do it like this, and then I tie it. I would usually leave these a little longer. So heads up there, I would leave those even longer. I underestimated. So at that point, I undo where I did the slit, make sure that comes off. The yarn comes out. Here. It's just cardboard. I have more Amazon boxes. Right? I mean, come on. Okay. So I take it off. I make them go down straight. I'm going to get different scissors. Pro tip, if you don't want to lose your scissors, add a pom-pom to them. And so I hold them down straight from where I did the tie. And I will trim them apart. And everybody makes tassels differently, guys. There's tassel makers out there too. If you want to invest in those, you can do that. I know I have a couple that I will sometimes use. It all depends on what I'm feeling. And you can even these up after the fact. So even if you're stitching them or cutting them right now and they look a little jaggedy, it's okay. All right, so then I will grab the tie and I shake them to get them kind of straight. I think it's the first time I've ever demonstrated tassels on like a live television sort of thing. Okay. And then take these, get a nice long string here that I put around essentially like the head. You guys all with me here? You can do it however you want. You can put it closer up here, further down, whatever works best for you. I like to make them as nice and neat as possible. Just pull it. If they don't, like that's not neat enough for me. Pull it, do it again. And then these strands here, you guys, you can thread them onto your tapestry needle and then just kind of like tuck them down to the center. You guys do this way? I usually would take these and then I come back in here, just like pop them in so that they're going down through the center. And then I make sure this is like, would be like towards the back of whatever I'm working on, the tie.
I trust your method here because Marley, I know you're the queen of adding tassels.
I love
a
them.
tassel.
But you know, I mean, it all depends on what you want to do. So, I mean, usually I would actually wind this more. Like I like it wound more, but I just wanted to show pretty basic on how to do it. I would like that a little bit tighter and wound a little bit more, but hiding it and all that is all the same way. But and like I said, I like to braid these. So can you get something decorative? You could add beads to it. You could do all sorts of things. You can keep these as jaggedy as you want or as even as you want. You could use a rotary cutter if you have one of those, like rotary scissors, or just kind of even them up as, you know, as you feel necessary. I don't know. It's pretty simple. I will tell you a tip that I learned from Selena Baca. She actually suggests that you make tassels from the yarn that's on the outside of the ball. So that way you're not pulling out yarn that's all crinkled from the inside of the ball, and it makes for nicer tassels that lay flat. So that's something, if you're like, oh, I don't want my yarn to look all crinkled, pull from the outside of the ball first and make your tassels. But I mean, it's that easy. It's that simple.
I think that's a great looking tassel.
Yeah. And I would totally, I mean, if you're making this piece, I absolutely would make your tassels first. So that way you literally could use up all of your yarn on the actual piece itself. And then if you're going to add this tassel on, obviously they have them on the corners. I mean, honestly, this scarf is reversible, but technically this would be the right side of the stitch. Doesn't really matter, but you could thread both of them through. You could do one at a time. You could do anything you want as far as adding them in. So let's just play with this for a second. I think I have a little bit of time here, but if you pull, like there's a nice stitch right there, right? I could pull these all through and then decide, okay, do I want them to, why is this doing this? Do I want them to be really nice and close like that? Do I want them to hang down a little bit and let them like dangle? You know what I mean? Like maybe I want some beads there and let it dang a little bit, or I want it really nice and tight up there. So then what I could do is thread this onto here again, wrap it around this a couple times, and then instead of weaving in that end through the fabric, I would pull it through the tassel again, just like I did on that center bit. But because this really is the oh gosh, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, like the cornerstone of how to, like that's going to bear all the weight, you really want to make sure you're really adding a lot of wraps through there. Why can't I think of the word I'm looking for? You really want to get it on there securely is what I'm trying to say. Does that answer everybody's question? I see some of you nodding. I see some of you who are just like, some of you are just crocheting, like, yeah, talk all you want, tassel lady. I'm not adding those. Yeah, but this is it. Honestly, tassels, you guys, they are big. They've been big for a couple of years. Like a couple of my friends are like, those are going away. I don't like tassels. I don't like making them. And I'm just like, but people love them. Like when you add a tassel to something, it just adds like a little something special. I feel the same way about pom-poms on the top of hats. Like it's just like something about a good pom-pom on the top of a hat just makes it just something fierce for me. I love it. But yeah, like I just tie through all these, like I would do it more. This is why, remember when I said I cut those a little bit too short, y'all? Like I would want these a little bit longer because I would want to go even more. But basically that's that. If I wanted to, I could even wrap those around there a couple times and look at that, you know, and then tuck it down. There's so many different ways to do tassels and such, but does that answer any questions you guys might have? Yeah,
I think so.
Perfect. This is a cute little pattern. It's such a cute pattern. I like how long they have it where you can wrap it around the neck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I do think on the scarf, the tassels add.
Oh yeah, the tassels totally make it. It looks great. They look really good. All right, you can go back to my face now if you want.
Awesome.
Hello, everybody. All right, so how far did everybody get? Look at you, Shirley. She's all about it. Is it Shoni or Shone? Awesome, looking good. Oh, this is great. Jan 24, she's doing awesome. Myrtle's doing awesome. All right, I got to scroll. Daniela. Wow, guys, you guys are doing great. Michelle, look at you. So many of you are doing such a wonderful job. I love that. Missy's doing awesome. Do me a favor, you guys, as you're working on this, if you are on social media at all, make sure you tag us, Yarnspirations or Make It with Michaels, and tag me, Marley Bird, MARLYBIRD, like the animal, BIRD, because I would love to see your finished items. These are so fun. You guys do such a good job out there. God bless you, Yvonne. So great. Hopefully if this was your first Michael's Community Classroom, it won't be your last. It's a lot of fun to be in here and chat with you guys and just kind of work through the pattern together. If you didn't catch it, it's a 6-stitch repeat with it's like 6 + 2. Myrtle agreed with me. So we have everybody concurs. So if you want to make it bigger or smaller, like this would make a really good blanket too. This would make a really good blanket, actually. A really good blanket. Really good.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining us for another Michael's Community Classroom. And just a reminder that this video recording should be available online tomorrow. And I'm dropping that link in the chat here. And don't forget to join us for another class.
Good job, Debbie. You're welcome, my dear. I love it. Great job, you guys. So proud of you. So proud of you. Oh, there's so many familiar faces. Bye, Dee Dee.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, everybody,
Awesome. Bye,
so
Paulina.
much. Have a good rest of your night.
Awesome. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Allie.